I am going to be streaming some digital painting. Let's see. Um, so what's cool about this? All right, looks like my. Oh, that's hilarious. The music I was playing is supposed to be copyright free, and it got copyright blanked out, which is why the silence happened. That's that's perfect. Um, all right, so yeah, I've been working on this. This is a composite of different AI Disco Diffusion images to make one whole. I've been doing a lot of these. I have a lot of works in progresses, and I'm gonna actually try to finish one. I haven't been prioritizing digital painting very much lately, so I've got to kind of get back into the groove of it. So yeah, I'm gonna be trying to solve some problems and just see just how much of this I can actually make out of pieces of AI. Um, it's kind of like a personal experiment. I'm also trying to decide how much depth of field to have. Like, should be doing edge breaking. Oh, rats. Um, let's see if oh good, my art rush is back to working again. So like what I'm gonna go in here and do is try to blur out some of this, because right now one of the problems with AI art is it can be very crunchy. You can have kind of like this, especially if in the case of Disco Diffusion, if you don't turn the steps down. I actually, as much as I like intricacy, I usually make the steps around a good bit lower than the default, and partially because I know I'm going to go in and add detail, but I'm really going for impressionism at the same time. What's happening right now with this? Oh yeah, I had flattened this a while back, and so this is something it's been an evolution, because I used to be very much into late binding. I wanted to have as many layers as possible so that I could move everything around until the very end, and I found that it slowed me down too much. Like the fluency wasn't worth it, or fluidity, I guess. Um, so I've got my good old friend Liquify here to help. Um, right now, I'm trying to solve the problem that is this this right here. Okay, 1 second. Moving some stuff around here. It's been a while since I've streamed, so I'm like playing with layout. um, this whole thing here, I was going for this kind of like toadstool city thing. But I'm thinking that this whole thing should probably be radial, rather than this big. I was going for like a landing strip or something, something that maybe you've got these. Definitely more of a fantasy setting. Maybe you have these flapping, flying things that need to, take off and get going. That's kind of the original idea of it, but you'd think it would be a lot flatter if that were the case. Um, Oh yeah. I may hop into my Discord chat. I meant to announce this stream. Um, I go announce it in the group. You can find a link to the Discord group in the bottom of this video. And see, I'm gonna hop in the voice channel to see if anybody. So I didn't announce this, so it is. Can't guarantee that people will show up, but all right. So yeah, one of the things I could do with this thing here is I could make a radial pattern. So something that's like, I really like these kind of thin wing patterns. That does kind of work better with the shape language. But it does also interfere with the idea of, if this part breaks up the landing strip, then breaks it up. So, oh, hello, Asubu. Nice to have you in here. Greetings. Yeah, it's been a while since I've streamed, and I am doing kind of a impromptu thing after. I wanted to stream like 2 hours ago, and I had lots of problems with Windows Audio, and I ended a process in Windows that I probably shouldn't have within the device manager. And then I realized like I had lost half my peripheral. Like, oh gosh, all right, how about I just system restore? And then system restore freezes. And then I try system restore from safe mode after ending the system restore process, which is probably a bad idea. And then it's just like black screen. That was scary. It's very hard to like press the when system restore is hanging to like press that hard reset button, because like Windows specifically tells you not to. And on top of that, I had literally like an hour before gotten a message that my new computer has been delayed for months. I was expecting to get it this month, and now I'm gonna have to wait probably until like, I don't know, August or something. So right after having that news, knowing that now, if this machine's borked and my new machine's not coming, yeah. So I am just going to like try to decompress and chill out here. Oh, maybe the Discord link is broken. Yes, I will give you a Discord link. Right now I'm using Restream, so yeah, I will definitely let's see if this shows up. There we go. So let's see. That should be a working link to the Discord. Yeah, I haven't actually been on Facebook very much, kind of this whole year. It's hard for me to spread my efforts to like multiple social platforms, and I've been spending most of my time in Discord. So yeah, if you want to like find out about like the main project I've been on, which is a racing game, or any other stuff, that server that I just linked is the best way to do it. And it's also become kind of just kind of a general support group for creators. There's a lot of like indie game folks in there of various disciplines. Oh, I'm getting an echo here. So yeah, back to this painting. I've been super inspired by what AI is doing. All these the pieces parts I brought in from this. This is zero photographs or any kind of textures. This is all like Disco Diffusion, which is just such a fun thing to explore. I can't leave my computer for more than like a couple hours without like starting a new batch on Disco. It's like I can't wait. Like I'm in the waiting list for Dolly 2 and Midjourney. I just can't wait to get on those. I'm sitting on like 40,000 images generated with GanBreeder. I guess the popular platform for that now is Artbreeder. And so I just love it. I think that I've kind of gotten tired of manual painting, certainly from scratch. And so having the AI as like a way to help both finish paintings and as like a starting point is just like fantastic. I'll probably be bouncing between this and some of my other stuff. Let me grab Oh yeah, I also started another one I'd like almost completely forgotten about now. Eh. Just have to find it. Here we are. This is another one I've started that I've been just kind of messing around with. And, I'm trying to decide just like how much to embrace the abstraction. Disco Diffusion does some really interesting stuff where it doesn't have a holistic understanding of the entire scene. It instead is like it's creating noise, and it's kind of it's using a noise algorithm but guiding it with a data set called Clip, trained on 40,000 images. And but what's interesting about it is that it's it's kind of like it's finding shapes in the noise, and the noise but it's not doing it at like this, from what I can understand, this like magnet like full scale. Like it doesn't have a concept of the entire thing. It's finding noise. I think at around at these tiles of 512 pixels is like the maximum that it's finding stuff, which means that you get some weirdness where, especially when there's a divider, you'll see a divider and you'll see positive space on one side of the divider and negative space on the other. Um, it's one of those things that you just have to kind of do it a while and you get sort of an intuitive idea of what it's doing. So right now I'm sort of in like cleanup mode, but I'm also like, I was going for like a racetrack, kind of this like Sid Mead style kind of a thing. So like these look sort of like cars. You can tell, like, I used racetrack as one of the prompt images, and so it's kind of part car, part architecture, otherwise known as carchitecture. Ah. So I haven't had a chance to check it yet, but Trent, were you able to get that Discord link to work? I should be posting my Discord link just on Facebook directly, but I have a feeling that like Facebook is suppressing those links. Like nobody's gonna see it if I post it. I don't know. The algorithm definitely doesn't want people using Discord if it can help it. Um, oh, you know what? I put it in Restream, which I thought was pasting to Facebook, and it just posted it to Twitch most likely. Uh, there we go. Now see Facebook tank my stream. I was trying to get non-vocal music here. All right, yeah, no problem. Nice to see you in there. I'm not getting the sense that a lot of people are using Facebook regularly, at least in like the art community that I predominantly had engaged with in the past. I mean, there are people who engage with posts, but they tend to be like the same people, and I don't know if it's just like Facebook saw how much of a hiatus I took and just like kind of just thought I was going to be a fickle user and just isn't showing people stuff, or if just the user base has shrunk. So I'm just gonna kind of block areas in here to try to get a sense of depth. Um, so yeah, it's kind of messy. I found that I had to just kind of temper my expectations in terms of like, if I can make it. Boy, my language faculties are not great right now. I think I'm out of practice. It's been a while since I've streamed. Oh, you got into Mid Journey? Nice. Um, yeah, I've been waiting for a while. I don't know how that. I like. When did you sign up for that, Trent? And I can tell you, certainly my paint over process with like this one has involved a lot of the mixer brush because it's a very messy image. Oh, you can get invites? I've been on that list for so long. I had no idea you could get invites. Sweet. Yeah, I'll PM you at the end of the stream. I would love to try it out. Hello, Filchmaster 9000 on Twitch. Thank you. This is I consider this almost like a love letter to old Guild Wars 2 art, especially from like Daniel Dochu. I was really when I first was like starting out as a student and like wanting to be a concept artist, there was work in like, 2006, 2007 even like coming out for Guild Wars, and I was just really into that, like that crunchy loose brush style, and there's just a lot of like these kind of like anti-tent kind of is almost the best way of describing it, but like epic in scale. I don't know if anyone knows what I'm talking about, but like here, let me post a link. I just to get an example of like some of these, like I'd almost want to call it like Tentpunk or something. It just Google Daniel DOCIU. I'll put it into Twitch here. And you'll kind of get a sense of the vibe. There's this one piece I had as my desktop like a decade ago that was like really inspiring to me. It was like, called like Crab Fort or something. Um, so yeah, I mean it's not like I have a giant bias towards yellow or anything. Um, but it's got a I don't know, that same kind of a vibe. Um, and yeah, I found that disco is just really great for exploring new color schemes, and just like different vibes. Right now, I'm using the mixer brush. You're asking about like painting over this stuff. I found that like you make a layer, make it 50% opacity, which I just did with shortcuts, and then kind of go sample with the mixer brush so that you can get kind of stripy brush strokes. And I find that that really helps to kind of, what I'm doing right now is I'm adding extra noise to this back one, because you can see that I just took I took a much smaller one, and let me go back to main here. What I'm trying to do is not get too literal with it. You can see I tiled stuff together, and so when it comes to like, a lot of the painting is just about like painting out themes. And yeah, mixer brush is great for that, especially for this kind of crunchy style. Trying to see if I can find some more like less like poppy music. I want like royalty free like everything is vocal. This has been my struggle forever, is like just trying to find good like non-vocal electronic music that is not copyrighted. Um um I've got okay, instrumental non-copyright. Let's see what this is all about. Oh, it's only 4 minutes. No. I was kind of scrubbing through that mix before. Okay, we can do synthwave. Apparently, the only non-instrumental music out there is synthwave. Which I'm not super into synthwave. Like, it's okay. I don't dislike it. It just doesn't inspire me that much. Um, let's go with it anyways. At least it says it's instrumental. It's hard for me to talk while there's also voices going on. I get kind of like speech jammed. So sometimes I'll do like a mixer brush stroke. You can see I just did it here, and then I'll paint right back over it again and kind of modulate its opacity. And yeah, I kind of want to get something that's got the right color and see how that's too harsh. Rather than just doing that on another layer like I just did earlier, you can also just paint over it. And oh man, Wacom's drivers are the worst. Yeah, I have this. There we go. So what I'm doing is I'm adding lighting right now. Right now with like with AI art, one thing I actually really love about it is that it's very scarce on directional lighting. It's sort of like it's sort of like in the data set, 50% of the photos have light coming from one way and 50 on the other, and so when it reconstructs everything, it tends to kind of eliminate lighting. It's sort of like having a diffuse map. And that's just fantastic for like this kind of thing because I can add my own light, and it actually makes it easier than like photo bashing for compositing. It's also royalty free. Is one of the I really jumped into it more actually when I found out that there was a link actually. The U.S. Copyright Office ruled that you cannot copyright AI art. Now, obviously, if you change it enough, it's a derivative work, and you can copyright that, as I understand it. But the Disco Diffusion stuff, I wasn't 100% sure how the legal works on that. But from what I understand, as long as you can do something that is copyrighted from it, but you are not violating any laws by using it. I don't know. Information is always evolving. It depends on what country you're in. Apparently, they've tried to copyright, actually make patents from AI designs, and were able to successfully do it in Australia and South Africa, but not in the States, not in the EU. So, for the time being, it's been tough because, like, I really want to do this all day right now, but I have to focus on the game project. There's a lot of momentum happening on that right now. I haven't actually announced it officially for you Facebook folks. I've been waiting to have a Steam page before I announced it, which in hindsight was probably a mistake because it's taking longer to get the Steam page out than expected. And there's good reason for that. And a lot of the stuff happening on it is not easy to share because it's not artistic. It's like technological backbone. All right, now I'm deciding how much to do blurring. So right now I can go to the blur tool and all these back stuff. What's happening with this piece right now is it's just it doesn't have any good sense of depth of field. So I find that blurring with the blur brush A should be done sparingly, or it's gonna look bad. And B, it's better to use the brush than to use the filter, because universal blur definitely looks like you used a filter. When you use the blur brush, then you have an uneven amount of blur, which helps to give everything a lot more life. So yeah, trying to keep it impressionistic. Still trying to figure out what to do about this part down here. Right now, I'm this is one of my favorite brushes. Um, kind of does this like stripey thing, and I have it set to the pen brush. Oh, pen brush. Words. The art brush. How is my mix of music and voice? Now that I'm playing another video, I don't know. Right now I'm going in and I'm just kind of selectively motion, like directionally blurring stuff. And it's getting to be about the time where I should be consolidating all this stuff downward. It's not being on another layer is not serving it at all. I have this front piece, and I've been kind of messing with this piece for a while. I'm in theory it should be the most contrasty. Um, it is in the foreground, but I want the focus to be here. And so, I could kind of darken it a little bit. Like, that's not the worst. And then I also thought, well, maybe the entire thing is in shadow. Maybe something is casting a shadow on it. Although this is kind of looking like new, or like it's sort of looking like, well, it's kind of an overcast day, but it's supposed to be kind of like noon on a partially cloudy day, I guess. And so, in theory, maybe you've got a cloud in front of this thing, or that's not terrible looking either. And so I do a lot of just this kind of comparison. Right now, this negative shape is very strong in this version, and this kind of knocks it back, so you can definitely put more emphasis on. Maybe I'll go with the middle ground. So I just reduce the opacity to 50%. I'm gonna go check and make sure that this is working on. All right, sweet. Excuse me. So yeah, right now I'm just in sort of layer flattening mode. So this is something where I might end up since at 100% opacity, so I can just kind of go in and paint into it. I wanted it to be something that looks like it's hanging off of this arch. Like you've got this big arch rock thing. And again, it's like if I overpaint it, then all the underpainted stuff is, then all the less painted stuff is going to look more underpainted. So this is all about a balance. And I think the battle that I'm just like constantly waging is that with perfectionism. I'm sitting on so many things that I feel like are just like not quite good enough to share publicly. And I've spread myself so thin with other work that if I don't have a deadline on finishing this kind of stuff, I'll leave it at like 90-95% and not post it. It's pretty bad. Going for almost like a industrial revolution hippie city with all this like smoke. I thought that was kind of like an interesting idea. I want to make it look like these things are parked on these like natural formations, either like a giant some kind of a giant wood thing. Now, so this is sort of like what all my different renders looks like. You can kind of get a sense of like how I actually, started. So there's no way the AI right now can generate something that looks like this. It's just there's too much going on in it. There's kind of a limit to the amount of content, like both a resolution limit and then like literally like a content limit as well. I'm kind of knocking this back. Make it look like there's some kind of like a mechanism, like an actual chimney, I guess. Not exactly a mechanism, but like. Trent Kuhn asks, do you think Dolly is too good or will it just be more beneficial? It seems so polished I don't know where the artist fits in. I think it's going to be a lot like photography in a couple ways. You still have to have a curator. I think what they're not, the thing with Dolly is that they're not showing you how cherry-picked those examples are. Both people using it and sharing on social media and on the official Dolly site. So to some extent, you're still going to need to have like an eye. 1 second. I have to turn this music down. Okay. Let me know if the music balance is okay. Yeah, it's a fascinating question. I think it's this technology and even Disco Diffusion is going to absolutely affect artists on the lower, I want to say, like more entry level jobs. There's a lot of people who need like generic fantasy stuff just so they have unique images for their new card game, or their background for their indie game. And there were people who had budgets but not much of a budget, and those jobs I think are definitely going to go away. I already know people who are actively making games who are using these tools. to generate unique artwork for it. And honestly, even some of the lands in Magic the Gathering, I think that you could actually, the tools are good enough now to make things that, um, with the right prompt wizardry can get you where you want to go. And the thing is that when you talk about, is Dolly too good or just too, it's still going to need polished work. If you look closely to Dolly, there is some weirdness with it. It's still incredibly impressive, but it just means that you're going to be able to do more with less artists. And the real question is, how is this going to change what consumers expect? Because it could be that, is all these profits saved by not hiring more artists? It's not like all artists are going to go away, but are those just going to be pocketed at the top, or is it somehow just going to, we have the same number of artists but just a better product? This really just helps people speed up the workflow in the same way that using computers, sped up the workflow for things like animation. And certainly, there used to be a bunch of ink and paint artists who did all those cells by hand, and those went away. And so I have no idea if the number of working artists, at least as a percentage of the population, certainly is higher or lower than it was before that kind of technology. I think what we're going to be seeing more of are creators who are multidisciplinary. People who find ways to combine mediums of expression, and those are the people who are going to be really empowered by this. If someone's graduating from art school and they really just want to paint environments all day, they're going to have a harder time. They're going to find there's not as many jobs or even freelance gigs for that kind of work. But if they say want to be an indie game creator or something, and they want to use these tools, which is basically what I'm doing right now, then they're going to see it as something that overall is more beneficial. And I really don't want to make any value judgments right now. These kinds of things can age badly, for one thing. It's really hard to predict how people are going to use these things, and what the overall effect will be. But I think in the short term, there's definitely going to be growing pains. It's already really easy to get lost in the noise. There's just so much content out there, and there's just going to be so much more content as a result of this. If people are able to generate, 10 of these in, even an hour, depending on what your settings are and whether in the case of Disco Diffusion, whether you're using Pro Plus or not, that's I mean, if you look at the NFT scene, it's already it's just flooded with this stuff. And I was just shaking my head at the time when I was seeing I think a lot of buyers didn't realize how easy it was to generate that stuff. It looked impressive, and of course it was about technology. It's anything about the future is that's definitely relevant in that whole scene. And yeah, I don't know. I think I have a friend who makes just beautiful work, digital painting work, but it has a lot of turbulence in it. It's very expressive. It has very sophisticated color. And he was at a convention recently and had people asking him oh, did you generate your work with AI? And here's a painting that you just put tens of hours into, and that just kind of sucks. It definitely feels like it devalues that type of work. one thing the industry as a whole will never devalue is like good creative thinking, and I think that artist in question is still going to do well, despite people asking those questions. For one thing, because they're also have embraced AI and are very into it now, but also because like there's that extra flair of human work that for at the risk of sounding like elitist, that sophisticates I think will be able to tell like when something was human designed and human made, but those aren't the bulk of the market. Like whether you're selling art independently at conventions or illustrating for something, um, you don't necessarily need to you're not just making work for that audience. Um, yeah, I don't know how much of an answer that actually was. I think things like greeting cards are also like, it's funny, people say, oh, that's going to be so affected, but honestly, like it was already from my understanding of that industry is that they have Hallmark and people have such a huge back library of stuff, and the types of people who buy that stuff are not really looking for a lot of like innovation, really. That they've just been like recycling a lot of their older work and just remixing it, and having graphic designers just like recomposite it and move stuff around. So like you could say, oh, what is this going to do for like not necessarily sci-fi and fantasy, like greeting cards. And I would say, yeah, but it's definitely, I'm sure they'll play with it, but it's not like there were a ton of jobs in that space to begin with. And then other industries like editorial art, that's an interesting one, because from what I understand of that, a lot of it is conceptual thinking. The difficulty of being a really good editorial artist is you're using symbolism, and you're using composition to often talk about kind of abstract and sophisticated ideas. And if you're good enough with prompts, you could absolutely use AI to sell those ideas, but the AI is not going to come up with those metaphors. Like you can't give the AI, at least yet, you can't give your AI like an Atlantic article or something and like have it create something that represents to do something that the likes of like Sterling Hundley or someone does. But Sterling Hundley could go in and think of a really clever concept to sell us a certain headspace, and use that tool to speed up his work. And then if he can all of a sudden take on twice as many jobs than he could before, then that's that means that people who are trying to break into the industry now find that there are less open slots that the established people have already have. And so yeah, it's fascinating. I find myself thinking about this a lot. I have kind of transitioned to making experiences over making images. So I feel like it's less, this question is less like pertinent to my well-being than it would have been certainly when I was like more of an illustrator. And so I definitely feel for especially like new illustrators um, who are trying to break in. I think that like ultimately it's like if you have an IP, you have like a story in your head that you want to write. Well, now you have a tool that will let you present that story much more quickly than you could have before. And so it's like how much does the consumer market have space for like little indie projects that might have been illustrated with this type of tool? I don't know. One of the big purposes of culture is to sort of create a touchstone, something that people can talk about around the water cooler. So there will always be a demand for mass market stuff. You know how, but at the same time, the media landscape is also getting fragmented. Definitely more fragmented than it used to be. Um, not to beat it to death, but echo chambers are a reality. And so if you make your own thing, then it means you might be able to sustain yourself in one of the many echo chambers that resonates with that, without having to really touch billions of people. And this type of tool could very well enable many people to do that. It's important not to fear it and to approach it with curiosity and joy. At least that's how I'm going about it. I mean, I like the type of just mentally. Oh boy, ever since I don't know 3 years ago, especially when this stuff really ramped up, both neural style and GAN reader and stuff. It was a big part of my personal creative life because I just have a strong desire for novelty, and there's just a joy of exploration when you generate something that is novel, and it's almost like having a conversation with what you're generating. Is you get options, you choose the stuff you like, you run that in as a new input, you randomize stuff, and it feels like it's a very dynamic process, and it's very creatively invigorating and very addictive. I almost feel like it has negatively impacted my ability to sit down and just make a painting from scratch, because I'm used to that kind of gratification. So let's see, Trent on Facebook says, I definitely appreciate that answer. Initially found it kind of depressing, but learning to use it as a tool is also been empowering. It's a really new way of working and thinking. Totally. Yeah. And really the ability to paint complements it really well. It's there's so many at least in the tools now, just weird nonsensical artifacts that if you know how to paint well, you can paint them out, and really get what you're wanting. And so I definitely think that the ability to composite, especially matte painting skills, those certainly aren't going to go anywhere with these tools. I was seeing that DALL-E 2 has some kind of compositing tool that lets you take one object and put it into a scene, and it inherits the ambient light and all that, and that's pretty cool. I'm looking forward to playing with that whenever they eventually let me in. I know some people really put the painting process itself. The people who definitely hold that more sacred than I do. I mean, I care more ultimately about the ideas and the final image than I do about the process or the surface treatment. And I guess I've been drifting away from that aspect of art making, anyways. Maybe due to the aforementioned adaptation to novelty. I don't know what to call it. Yeah, I'm trying to decide how to resolve this thing. Yeah, I'll put. I want to show that this is still some kind of a runway, but I think I need to show actual crafts going on it to really sell that concept. Some kind of a flappy, slider kind of a thing. I have some ideas, actually. So let's see what I can do with the flappy slider idea. So I'm gonna eliminate the blacks and the mid layers, something like this. And what's nice is this can be pretty dirty. I'm gonna make a copy of that, and gonna bring it back and then hide this layer. And then this, now I'm gonna paint it back using masks. So I just get the shapes I want. I find for me personally, it's better to completely invert the mask and paint sort of paint from nothing because I have a harder time eliminating shapes. I'm a bit of a maximalist, and if I'm cutting into this form, I'm more likely to leave stuff. Whereas here, I just checked my Facebook and saw someone commented and said, "Are you on the journey?" uh, yeah, I kind of missed the dialogue among all my art friends. I've been in my own like kind of bubble lately, and I didn't actually realize how much this stuff was blowing up. Um, so what I'm doing right now is I'm making wings. And make these like sort of butterfly glider things. So I'm gonna eliminate the black again. So something like that. Then delete the mask, and then bring in just the stuff I want. So you were asking Trent about compositing, and this is kind of, I find that having this dirtier way of doing it. I try to avoid the magic wand wherever I can. By hand painting in the mask, I'm able to kind of leave some artifacts that actually complement the surface treatment of the rest of the painting. It's just I find that it works pretty well. And yeah, now I've been doing a lot of shortcuts, so you might have seen I just applied the mask, and I'm just doing some other work with the magic eraser. Not just eraser. Nothing magic about it. And we'll give it a more brightness. This almost feels a little bit like when NFTs hit, and it was like everyone was like asking, is this like just a flash in the pan, or is this going to completely like disrupt the market? Yeah, what's nice about these artifacts is they definitely yeah. So I'm making a glider, and I'm actually gonna chop up these pieces and make smaller gliders. Actually, symmetry is such a hack. I still feel like I'm like getting away with something when I when I use it. I mean, with warp, you could just basically create don't know. I would like to really do like a Gumroad course or kind of some kind of a course on this. I'm right now arranging doing a talk at a big conference about it. And I really want to like I want to spread like I want to spread the word on like like how to use these as how to use this as a tool rather than to consider it like a replacement. Um, and I just find it really fun to talk about. And it would be if I make it a paid course, it'd be a good way to try to earn some income while I work in the video game. So yeah, I don't know what the best platform is for it, but for the time being, I enjoy streaming, and so I'm going to do that for now. Yeah, I'm going a little overboard with the detailing of this this butterfly glider thing, for sure. But A, fun, and B, I actually like to save I like to save these as I have kind of like libraries of call them like Legos of shapes that can easily be brought into other projects. Um, and so, you know, I'll probably put this in a group, save it out, and hopefully remember to add it to like one of my. It's almost like a like a personal clip art thing. And I'm constantly looking for interesting forms to use for the actual game. I need billboards and lots of them. For those of you who don't know, a billboard is like a 2D thing that faces the camera. As you can see, I'm not flipping the swing right now. I'm going to do it manually just to break up the symmetry a little bit. So I don't have any needs for like giant moths yet in my game, but yeah, let's actually try integrating one of these and just see how it looks. See, it's when you use got that nice like red edge. That's what really attracted me to this type of thing. So this is all just the same exact techniques that you would use if compositing anything. Yeah, right now when I actually stretch this out, yeah. So I'm getting something from Twitch. Well, big Daniel to True vibes. Yes. I actually linked one of his pieces earlier. Cause yeah, I was saying this is kind of like a. Oh man, my computer totally yellowed out. I don't know how long my night light's been on. It's pretty funny. So I don't know if you guys actually saw everything was yellowed out. Well, yeah. I was really inspired by Guild Wars 2 concept art when I was first starting out my journey, and I had some of his work as my desktop images when I was a student and stuff, and so even though my like modern or you know personal work doesn't look like that, you know, I'm trying new things. Don't want to get stale. See, I could make these. Yeah, I'm just gonna put this moth on another layer. Nice. There's Tara and Twitch says, yep, I still am in my rotation as desktop background. Totally. Yep. Yeah, it's got that kind of like I was saying earlier, like, you know, it's yeah, I don't know exactly how to describe the style. I want to be derivative and like, you know, do what everyone does. And I would say, you know, I just put punk at the end of it and call it like Tentpunk or something. Yeah, I don't know if I want these. This is not a very big runway. I should probably make this smaller. And you know what? I'm going to do a drop shadow on this bad boy. Help give it a little bit of pop. You know what? I'm going to make it a dark red kind of drop shadow so that it matches the kind of red edging that you've got and the going on in the rest of this. I try to avoid black where possible. And we'll just make it normal. I've been trying really hard to keep just everything at normal blending mode if I can help it. Gonna do some cleanup here. I almost always use curves these days for any adjustment. So much better than HSV. Trying to kind of knock this back a little bit. Yep, trying to keep this from being too. Right now, it still has a flattened look because the depth of field is not there. Like it, you know, I'm hesitant to reduce too much sharpness, and it's almost like it's one of those gray areas between like flaw and style. Like I have this thing with my work where I like to have the backgrounds be just as sharp as the foregrounds, and it creates kind of like I personally like it because when I perceive something, if I perceive a scene in time, I'm looking, you know, in the real world, I'm looking around and I'm focusing on the background and I'm focusing on the foreground, and my brain is blending all that together so that I feel like it's all in focus. And I don't know if that's just like my brain, but like I feel like when I make art, I'm not trying to make it look like an instantaneous perception. Like, you know, here it is either as a photo or as like, you know, you can only focus on one thing at a time. And so, you know, I like having everything sharp, and I want people to take time and take in this part and then this part and then this part and pretend that they are there and taking in all those pieces. And yeah, I don't, like, I can definitely think of, like, former instructors who would say, like, no, that's bad illustration. You need things to, like, pop. You need to create a sense of hierarchy and a sense of priority and all that stuff. But I don't know. I have to balance those kind of like universal foundations with my own sense of personal truth, to put it romantically. Um, so yeah, it's I'll probably never feel like I have fully figured out that. Guess I'll sometimes it makes you call it archive stuff I don't want to absolutely throw away. Put it above main painting. I turn it off. And Rono Art says, "Hey, this is looking really cool on Twitch." Thank you. So usually I would oh yeah, let me add these to archive too. Usually I would bounce around between like, different pieces. So I'd have to bring in like my library for this one, or maybe I'll continue working on. There's a few different ways to do this. You can just you can batch stuff together and go like, what looks cool, work into that, and sometimes I do that, but sometimes that can be counterproductive. Sometimes it's better to kind of block out what you want. Oh yeah, notice this trick. I've been using this one forever. I love it. You can use Edit Fade. I have it on a shortcut. So when using the mixer brush, oftentimes things are too harsh, and because it's hard to know exactly what a mixer stroke will look like. And so then I can just fade my stroke after the fact, get real-time feedback, which is love. And sometimes I'll just like add chaotic marks and then like kind of knock them back later. So I don't have a solid direction on this. I initially wanted to have multiple, like, it was almost like multiple races happening, and you'd have these like observation port things that, are like this thing but smaller. So I could play with that a little bit. I don't remember why I came down on that, but I could play with that. Reduce the opacity, or maybe increase the opacity, but just like reduce the contrast. I really do like, the color scheme going on here. Um, Sometimes it's nice to get some like mirroring going on. Nothing a little warp can't do to like. Now I'm color balancing it more to pinks and blues, and then also knock it back. And so yeah, now that gets kind of a nice harmony. I can't say I dislike this, but I'll probably want to change it a little more. You can see I'm adding gradients in the mask, and then color balance is a very useful thing for compositing. It's like boom, all of a sudden it blends. I am so glad I moved off of blending modes. It made my life so much harder. Trying to think of, ways to break this up. Maybe I can shift some of the other stuff I've been working on too. Actually, no, I'm doing that thing where I get stuck and then I bounce. I'm actually gonna be going soon anyways. I'm hungry. Yeah, I would like to do this more. A lot of excitement around this kind of thing. I'm definitely feeling it. I want to share that with others. I use pretty much the same brush. Um, having having rotation set on it is really nice, which I should actually already have. I don't know why I turned it off, but yeah, there we go. So now I can get custom rotations. Very cool thing. I'm just to make this look like a big shadow. Yeah, I'll give it a nice mask. I don't know why my gradient tool stuck. Weird. Invalid numeric entry. What is this doing? Yeah, I don't know why I got stuck in the pen tools. I've used Photoshop a lot, and that's the first I've had that happen. Yeah, I'm just bringing in kind of a. I'll go in and feather it later to get rid of that hard edge, but yeah. Ah, still trying to figure out, how I want this to blend. Up, I'm on this layer. Let's fix that. Go. Yeah, I think I'm probably gonna take off actually, rather than show my other thing. I'm gonna eat before it gets too late. Um, so, well, thank you to everybody who has stopped by. I definitely want to do more of these. Um, and yeah, I love to engage with people who are excited about this kind of technique. And yeah, definitely stay tuned. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'm gonna post a link to the Discord group since apparently the link in my thing's not working. Um, so 1 second. That's yeah, this is a great community, and going to Twitch and share it. Yeah, I definitely intend to post either work on this more by streaming or maybe just like go ahead and post it. I'm trying to kind of put out more like quantity over quality right now. It's hard for me just psychologically to do that. But you know, personal growth or something. So yeah. Uh, yep. Good night, everybody. Uh, thanks for stopping by once again.